Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Thomas James here with yet another episode of Archemi Online Chronicles. Uh-oh. What the heck is going on? I'm in some sort of like loop where I'm hearing myself. There we go. I was hearing myself in three different places and it was incredibly. Oh shit, I'm still hearing myself. Oh no! What is going on? Hello? Ah, why? Maybe you can hear that too. Hey, testing. There we go. Oh, what a fucking scrub I am. Thank you very much for joining and putting up with my extremely well put together technical setup. Yeah, I thought I had everything like ready to go, and it turns out I did not. So I just had too many windows open and not enough things muted, I suppose. But we are here right now. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. If you are watching on Discord or tuned in from Discord, thank you very much for being here. And if you're listening on the Sound Booth Theater app, Sound Booth Theater Direct, available on both Android and iPhone, you are very much welcome, and thank you for listening to this after the fact. You're definitely not tuning in live, but hey, that's okay. So, what are we doing today? We are continuing with Archemi Online Book 6, and I am at Chapter 6. So that is good stuff. I see a couple people have tuned in. Thank you very much for being here. Please say hello in the chat. I am trying to follow along with the chat today. Let me see here if I can get the window back up because I had to close out of it. I am listening to myself on some device, but I've just muted. So say hello. Wait, you're that guy. I love your work. Oh, thank you, World War Wit. That is very nice of you to say. I'm glad that you enjoy my work and my voice. What have you listened to? What projects of mine? I'm just tell me a little bit more. Come on. A goddess Ziri is here. Hello, goddess. Very nice to have you here. This is the chat. For the cold reads, all of the discussion and chatting happens in YouTube. And then after the fact, I'm going to do one more cold reads tomorrow to wrap up the first set of Archemi. And then after that point, we are going to be meeting in the Discord. If you are not already a member of the Sound Booth Theater Discord, then you want to get your ass over there and just hang out because it's a fun place. This is where Jeff Hayes, myself, some of our other narrators, including Annie Ellicott, even our lead engineer jumps in there and works on sound effects and music. That is the place to be. That is the place to regularly interact with us. We do stupid shit. Jeff yesterday, or 2 days ago rather, was looking at Kanye, or sorry, Yeezy shoes. What are those Yeezy shoes called? Anyways, we were discussing how butt ugly they were and how fun it would be to take like classic gory horror movies and replace like The Thing and replace the monster that's like all like disgusting and gnarly with just a shittily photoshopped Yeezy shoe on top of it. And it all worked out very well. But yes, I have figured out my setup, though you might not believe it if you were here for the first 10 seconds of the stream. I've got my setup all figured out, and I am... I wonder if the music was picking itself up. Oh, well. I'm watching the chat this time. I normally don't watch the chat because I get distracted by it, but today I've got it on my iPad, and it should be working fine. So we are good there. So yeah, definitely check out the Discord because there's only going to be 2 more days of this. All of these files are going to be available after this recording, well, on YouTube until the audiobook is released, of course, because of copyright and all of that shite. But yeah, we're going to take it off of YouTube, and then we're going to be releasing it on the Sound Booth Theater Direct platform, where you can listen to it. Well, you'll be able to listen to it on the platform or on YouTube, whichever your preference is. Probably easier on YouTube, honestly. It's the same audio file. You're going to hear all of the warts and misreads and burps and yawns and loud farts. The quiet farts you probably won't hear, but you might hear my reaction to those farts, because I've been eating a lot of very spicy food lately. Lots of Indian food, lots of Mexican food. I live in a great neighborhood in Toronto that just has a ton of incredible, amazing food. So anyways, that's all beside the point. I should probably start narrating. But first, World War Wit says that they've listened to Virtuous Sons, Last Physicist, Irrelevant Jack series, Everyone Loves Large Chess, Archemi Online, Deck of Souls, and many others. Wow, you listed some really kind of low-key titles there. That's awesome. Deck of Souls, not a lot of people have heard that one. But Bonnie Price, excellent author. If you have a chance to check out Deck of Souls, definitely go and do that, because Bonnie's a great writer and doesn't get enough cred as it is, in my books, at least. Yeah, some great titles on there. Last Physicist, I'm excited for book 2. Haven't heard from the author in a little bit, but I check in every now and then, and I think he's hoping to get back to it as well. I'm going to get started narrating in about a minute, but if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. Most of you probably will be here from subscribing to the channel, so that's awesome. But yeah, like hang out. We do Sound Booth Theater live every other Wednesday. Sometimes we do special episodes, like on March 29th, we are going to be doing a promotional SBTL special that we're going to be featuring Bern Dean's Eternal Dominion series, which Sound Booth Theater, of course, produces, narrated by Zachary Johnson and Annie Ellicott, of course, who you know and love. And speaking of Annie Ellicott, it's her freaking birthday today! Woo! She's not in this book, but she is definitely an essential part of Sound Booth Theater. And an incredible human being, extremely talented singer, and absolutely lovely voice. If you know her, if you've got her on the socials, please wish her a happy birthday. I believe last I heard, Jeff was trying to make a post on our SBTL Facebook group, but it keeps on getting deleted again and again and again for some reason. Maybe because he was trying to post a GIF of a male stripper. It could have something to do with that. So, one more reminder to like the video, if you'd be so kind. It helps us sleep at night, really. It is it's our reason for being. Likes. We live on likes, us performers. Let's see here. Boop, 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 boom. I'm trying to log in here because I want to like this video. I'm going to like it. I'm liking it as Justin James. See, here I go. Here I go. Where's the like? Where's the like button? There it is. There we go. We got 2 people liking the video. World War Wit says, before I get in here, when you get a chance, look at Amygdala, A Story of Animals from Sam Fenna. He has side content for Lucy Lacemaker. You'll find excerpts on YouTube. Interesting. Okay. Can you give me a bit more of a pitch? What are we looking at with that book, that story? Oh, water, sweet nectar of the gods. That's good. Ah. Are you jealous? Are you jealous of my hydration? You ought to be. Oh, what happened there? Hello? That's weird. Okay. Okay, so randomly, I heard myself there. I'm going to make sure that you can't hear any of my system sounds in case that happens again. You might have heard me say, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. which we do not need. Let me double check my settings here, make sure I'm using the right driver. I am. And I am good to get started on Chapter 6. Chapter 6. Karalti burst out of the air into a howling blizzard. Winter had already set its teeth into Ravala, and the miles of private evergreen woodland that surrounded Lord Torquist's safe house were thick with snow. None of us really felt the cold. Abisa was inorganic. Maquette was dead. Karalti burned so hot that the snow hissed on contact with her scales. Vash was hardened against the icy mountain weather through decades of training and sheer badassery, and I was hardened via my mutations and Toon ancestry. And maybe some Karalti... Oh. And maybe some badassery. All right, there's the first paragraph. I'm just going to turn up my volume in my headphones a bit so I can hear myself. There we go. I find if I do not make sure that my volume is turned up, that I start to yell into the microphone a bit more, which leads to a narration that's kind of like this. Just make sure that the levels are right here. Nope, gotta turn up. There we go. Now I'm able to get the right levels here. That's sounding a little bit better. Testing, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. That should be a little bit better. I'm hovering around -18, which is where I want to be. Chapter 6. Karalti burst out of the air. Karalti burst out of the air into a howling blizzard. Winter had already set its teeth into Ravala, and the miles of private evergreen woodland that surrounded Lord Torquist's safe house were thick with snow. None of us really felt the cold. Abisa was inorganic. Maquette was dead. Karalti burned so hot that the snow hissed on contact with her scales. Vash was hardened against the icy mountain weather through decades of training and sheer badassery, and I was hardened via my mutations and Toon ancestry. And maybe some badassery. All right, we want some ambience. Blizzard. Karalti touched down in a spray of snow, sending it flying. As she did, I made a go-around motion to Maquette. Mech, I want you to merge into any... Mech, I want you to merge into any and all shadows and remain unseen. You're our secret weapon on this mission.
Do this, do that. Do this, do that. Listen to you, a green boy barely out of his diapers, ordering me, Maquette the Illuminator, around like some common fetch. Pah!
Whoops. Oops.
Bah! Bah! Do this, do that. Listen to you, a green boy barely out of his diapers, ordering me, Maquette the Illuminator, around. Bah! Do this, do that. Listen to you, a green... Bah! Do this, do that. Listen to you, a green boy barely out of his diapers, ordering me, Maquette the Illuminator, around like... Ordering me, Maquette the Illuminator... Ordering me, Maquette the Illuminator, around like some common fetch.
I like Maquette. The dead sage. The dead sage pursed his lips so tight they looked like a cat's asshole, even as he drifted off and vanished into the deep shadows under Karalti's bulk. The steward who came to greet us boggled at our light outfits. He was dressed like a Laplander in thick furs and fleece, while Vash wasn't even wearing sleeves. Lord Dragozin! Lord Dragozin! Lord Dragozin! He struggled to tear his gaze from Karalti and orient on me, eyes bright blue and anxious under the shadow of his hood. Oh. Sir, I nodded to him. We're here to see Lord Turquist. He looked over the group of us. Shh, not so loud. Shh, not so loud. This is not the Lord's home, and we are trying not to use names. We believe Ilya has mages scrying. We believe Ilya has mages scrying on us. Would have been nice to know that before I flew right in. Karalti craned her head down and snorted a blast of hot air over the pair of us. Ilya wants to capture me and lock me in their eyrie like a breeding sow, you ass. This is risky for us. The man's eyes widened until they were white and round. The dragon, she... Oh, there's some noise going on here. Talks, yeah. I reached back to rub the edge of Karalti's nostril, grimacing. And there's always a risk of being spied on. Sure, but I think you're giving Ilya too much credit. If anyone's spying on you, then it's someone here on site. As you say. The servant swallowed nervously and motioned us to follow him. The Lord awaits. The Lord awaits. The Lord awaits. Something loud is going on. Oops. The inside of the keep was as cold as the outside. The inside of the keep was as cold as the The inside of the keep was as cold as the outside. Snow choked the entry. Snow choked the entry. Snow choked the entry to the gatehouse and the bailey beyond. We followed the steward in the dark. Heading up a chilly, wet stairwell to a heavy wooden door. There, the servant knocked, waited, then unlocked the door and waved us into the much warmer, cozier den Lord Turquist was definitely revelling. That's annoying. Then unlocked the door and waved us into the much warmer, cozier den behind. Lord Turquist was definitely Revalin. Tall, very pale-skinned, blonde, with light blue-green eyes that were bright with excitement and nerves. He was younger than I expected, early 20s at most, with the lean, hard body of a habitual athlete. He wasn't handling his combat high too well, though. The guy was sweaty and looked like he was just about ready to leap out of his own skin. There was half a bottle of brandy on a small table next to the chair where he'd been sitting, a used glass, a pipe. There was a half bottle of brandy on a small table next to the chair where he'd been sitting, a used glass, a pipe, and sheafs of maps on the floor.
Just the four of you? Lord and Lady, the Prince. Just the four of you? Just the four of you? Lord and Lady, the Prince spoke true.
Turquist groaned.
Lord and... Just the four of you. Oh, Lord and Lady, the Prince spoke true.
Turquist groaned. He extended me a slim, well-groomed but calloused hand.
Lord Dragozin, no offense, but I was hoping for an army.
Vovode Hector Dragozin. Vovode Hector Dragozin, Duke of Misno and bonded rider of Karalty the Black... Duke of Misno and bonded rider of Karalty, the Black Opal Queen, I corrected him, shaking firmly. I'd already learned that no matter how nice, foppish, innocent, or dumb a noble seemed, you never let them get away with talking you down or getting one up over you. The army's waiting for us to rescue them, Lord Turquist. We've done it before, and we'll do it again. I'd made the right move. His respect for me visibly increased, and he stopped looking quite so nervous. To this guy, in his fine doeskin, ermine, and fleece... Oh, how do I pronounce that?
How do I pronounce that? Tun!
Erskine. 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 To this guy, in his fine doeskin, ermine... Oops. To this guy, in his fine doeskin, ermine, and fleece, we probably looked like a band of pirates. 2 toon men, one of them with obvious dragon rider mutations, the other scowling and scruffy as a billy goat, one small but dangerous toon woman, and one Mercurian with her face concealed. Torquist began to pace once the door was closed.
The Kingsmen told me you were hoping to rescue Ignas. The Kingsmen told me you were hoping to rescue Ignas. Well, let me tell you now, Vovoda, that hope is getting slimmer by the hour, and not just for her Highness and His Majesty of Vlachia. We are all in terrible danger.
Just call me Hector. And why? I frowned, watching him as he began to grow increasingly agitated. What's changed?
This monster, Lucien, is holding a celebration banquet in the royal palace to commemorate his victory tomorrow night. All the lords and ladies of the realm must attend. As in, it is compulsory. It is compulsory for us to attend. We have been ordered to assemble under the watch of Ilya's army, or our homes and lives are forfeit, he said.
Oh, I should start that again.
This monster, Lucien, is holding a celebration banquet in the royal palace to commemorate his victory tomorrow night. All the lords and ladies of the realm must attend, as in, it is compulsory for us. It is compulsory for us to attend. We have been ordered to assemble under the watch of Ilya's army, or our homes. We have been ordered to assemble under the watch of Ilya's army, or our homes and lives are forfeit, he said, spitting every word. There's not a single noble in the realm who is not panicking. It's widely expected that one of two things will happen. Either we will be forced to watch this cretin execute our queen and be made to swear fealty to him, or we and the royals will be the barbecue. Or we and the royals will be the barbecue at the banquet. Torched to death by dragon fire. Torched to death by dragon fire.
Why not band together and take Lovey back? I asked.
There is a resistance fermenting among the lords and of land. There is a resistance fermenting among the lords of the land, but he has hostages.
Torquist looked stricken.
Every one of the noble houses has loved ones stationed at court. My own nephew is there. He is only 12, a squire to one of the royal knights.
Jesus Christ, I cursed.
The common folk are also cowed. Little Lord Lucien's first act of government was a mass execution of prisoners of war, our soldiers and Vlachia's.
Torquist continued.
Our soldiers and Vlachia's, Torquist continued. The first 100 prisoners were executed by feeding them into those twisted Mercurian war machines. The first 100 prisoners were executed by feeding them into those twisted Mercurian war machines. Feet first. They killed others by using all manner of means. Axe, firing squad, hanging. Some were apparently eaten by the dragons. The rest were hung around the city from gibbets like festival decorations.
Lord Torquist had to pause, pinching the brow of his nose.
By Burna's will do we stand here, Vash said roughly. We here. We hear the horrors. We hear the horrors inflicted on your nation and grieve with you. What else can you tell us? I can tell you that those of us who have openly resisted Ilya have been murdered. Those who fled the country, successfully or not, have had their kin thrown into the maws of one of those Mercurian war machines. And so, with few exceptions, everyone has pledged to attend this celebration and submit.
Torquist dropped his hand and looked up at us fiercely.
But I refuse. I'll fight. I'll fight this marauder until my dying breath, even if...
He trailed off, not able to finish the thought. Try not to focus on it right now. Lucian's the kind of degenerate who'll get everyone to bend the knee to him, then kill their families anyway. I clenched my jaws, rocking the crowns of my teeth together to vent the anger rising through my body. This country needs brave men like you, Lord Turquist. I don't know if we can help everyone, but if we can rescue Queen Aslan, the princess, and Ignas, then Lucian loses some of his leverage against all of you. Then Lucian loses some of his leverage against you all. Do you think you can get us into the palace?
Into the city? Into the city, yes. Into the palace, no.
Torquist was rallying from our encouragement. His pale eyes glinting as the will to fight began to replace fear.
The whole western wall of Lovey is wrecked and still on fire. There are ways in and out. But the palace is far from the walls, heavily guarded by dragons and soldiers. They are trying to place Lovey under lockdown, with limited success. But we expect security to be at its peak tomorrow night.
For the banquet and or execution, right? I frowned, thinking.
Well, Torquist, we might not be able to kill or capture this little Rotsluffle tonight, but we can definitely set him up to fall, Vash said after a pause. What is your plan to get us into the city?
Torquist was clearly struggling to take Vash seriously. The Baru was, admittedly, picking his chipped teeth with the point of a small bone, one of the many beads plaited through his tightly woven hair. Oh, where am I? Oh, wow, he's farther than I am. Nice. Okay. He was scruffy and scrappy. He was scruffy and scrappy, with one mechanical arm and a... He was scruffy and scrappy, with one mechanical arm and a face like a shattered mirror, scars that radiated from one cheekbone across 3/4 of his face, where his sister had struck him with a hatchet. Repeatedly. There we go. Should be a bit better. Repeatedly. Oops.
Well, the plan has been to disguise the primary operatives as my footmen.
Torquist's eyes darted to Vash as he spoke.
But I'm not sure that will be possible with this, gentleman here. Ah, Lord Torquist! Just because I have a face like a puckered asshole doesn't mean I can't be disguised, Vash said cheerfully. If you're going to the palace for some fancy party, you need a lady after all.
Karalty clamped her hands over her mouth. Abisa somehow managed to look constipated, despite the fact that Mercurians didn't shit. Torquist's aristocratic face drew into an expression somewhere between confusion and disgust. Torquist's aristocratic face drew into an expression somewhere between confusion and disgust.
Surely you jest. Look into my eyes. Am I laughing? Is this the expression of a man who's pulling your leg?
Vash leveled a hard, straight-faced glare at Torquist.
No, Lord Torquist. You stick my bony ass in a pretty dress with long sleeves, disguise my stunning good looks with a fashionable veil, and off we go to Lovey. Only whores go veiled in Revala. Only whores go veiled in Revala,
Torquist replied with growing horror. Vash barked a harsh crow's laugh.
Ha! Fine. Ha! 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 I know.
Karalty was watching him and Torquist eagerly, like a fan watching a tennis match.
Fine. Fine.
Torquist rubbed the bridge of his nose.
We will fit you a dress. How fortunate for you, I am currently unmarried. How fortunate for you, I am currently unmarried. How fortunate for me!
Vash thumped his chest with a fist.
How fortunate for you to be escorted by the finest whore in all of Tungant, Lady Tents in Trousers.
Lord Turquist blinked a couple of times. Lord Turquist blinked a couple of times.
Tents in trousers? Yes, as in an erection under your clothing.
Vash explained, as if speaking to a small, confused child. Karalty and I had been holding it together until that point. She lost it first, cackling as she reeled away from Vash, who was now grinning mirthlessly at the mortified Lord Torquist. I kind of stuffed my fist in my mouth. Even Abisa let out a soft sound of amusement. Vash winked at Torquist.
See? Look how much lighter your guts feel. that you have someone and something to laugh at. Do not make the mistake of taking a coward like Lucian too seriously, my lord. Evil desperately wants to be seen as all-powerful, all-knowing. Laugh at them, for they are not.
Vash is right. Vash is right, I croaked once I had control of my voice again. We're gonna make this work, and we're not going to let Lucian control the show. Me, Karalti, and Abisa go in as coachmen. Vash rides in the cabin with you.
In drag!
Vash pointed at me sternly, rolling the R in drag for maximum emphasis. In drag, I echoed. The thing we need to know. The thing we need now is a way into the palace. Torquist sat back into his chair.
There are rumored to be secret ways in and out Her Majesty's residence. Tunnels that enter and exit all over the city, but no one knows where they are, unless we were able to find a very unusual sage, or somehow rescue the groom of the chambers.
Maquette telepathically cleared his throat.
If I may,
We may actually have a sage. We may actually have a sage who knows. Hang on. I brought up my HUD, as if composing a message, and reached my mind out to the shades. Go on. Go on. Go on.
In 1422, it was said that the last crown prince of the Alto dynasty was spirited out of the palace through the grand cathedral of Lyric, the Auri Cathedrali.
Jaitup asks, are you guys ever going to finish the Shadow Sun series? It's been 2 years since the last audiobook released. Unfortunately, no, we are not. There were some creative differences between the author and ourselves, and while we try to make everything work, the author made the decision that he didn't want to continue with Sound Booth Theater and with the series in general. So unfortunately, it isn't going to be moving forward. Which is unfortunate, because a lot of people really do enjoy that series. Just is what it is. Thank you for stopping by, Jaitup, by the way. How are you doing today?
I will escort you to the library.
Maquette. Oh, recited dryly. I should redo that so that it's a bit more dry. Let me Let's see. Can I press K? No, I can't. Okay, let's see here. Key.
In 1422, it was said that the last crown of the Alto dynasty was spirited out of the palace through the grand cathedral of Lyric, the Auri Cathedrali.
Maquette recited dryly. He was hovering on the other side of one of the walls, basking in the frigid air outside.
Perhaps a message to the Hierophant of Lovey would reveal more.
Hierophant? 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 Hierophant. Hierophant. Hierophant.
Perhaps a message to the Hierophant of Lovey would reveal more details about the passage that was used.
You're a genius. You're a genius. I closed the HUD and cleared my throat. Good news, I guess. I just quickly asked a friend of mine with, magic. He says there might be a way in through the Auri Cathedrali. Torquist's brows furrowed. Then he gasped and thumped his fist into his other palm.
Of course! Oh, the flight of Prince Alto! Lord and Lady, I forgot all about that story. Oh, it's said that his protectors spirited him out of the castle's clock. He, died anyway, mind you, ambushed and kidnapped from the church courtyard, unfortunately, but still, you're going in, not coming out. So, perhaps, death is a little less certain.
I fixed a piercing gaze. I fixed a piercing gaze on the man as he shakily poured himself another brandy. Can you run a message to the Hierophant? Hierophant? What is it again? Hierophant. Hierophant. Can you run a message to the Hierophant? Can you run a message to the Hierophant? If anyone's going to know the secrets of the place, it'll be him.
Of course.
Torquist nodded eagerly.
I will dispatch someone tonight. There are many brave people willing to take the risk, and I swear on my father's grave, they won't breathe a word if captured. They won't breathe a word if captured.
I paced up and down in front of the fire. Okay, then here's what we do. Send a team of runners into the city with the message. Your real coachman plus one returning courier. Send a team of runners into the city with the message. Your real coachman plus one returning courier. They deliver it to the Hierophant. Get his reply. They deliver it to the Hierophant. Get his reply. And your coachman meet us at the church. There's perfectly legitimate reasons you might stop by. There's perfectly legitimate reasons you might stop by the Auri Cathedrali on your way to the palace. When we get there, we quickly switch costumes. The four of us go into the cathedral and use... this secret passage, if it's still available. If it's still available, Abisa replied dryly. I motioned to her in acknowledgement. Yeah, it's not a sure thing by any means, but it's what we got. We've got. We'll plan other routes as well. Do you have maps of Lovey we can use? Absolutely. Torquist concentrated. Torquist concentrated for a moment, eyes darting from side to side as he accessed his... Torquist concentrated for a moment. Torquist concentrated for a moment, eyes darting from side to side as he accessed his menu. A few seconds later, I got a prompt. Duke Helgi Torquist would like to trade you Map of Lovey, Map of the Lion Palace. Thanks. I accepted both maps and added them to the Kingdom Management Squad menu. Abisa immediately pulled her copy up, studying it. Studying it intently. What do we do with Ignas when we've got him out? Karalti asked. I can't fly quickly with 7 people to escape out of the city. It's too much weight. They'll blow me out of the sky. Vash was loading his pipe with the herbal blend he used. Equal parts marijuana and tobacco, with some kind of stimulant for good measure. We ought to scatter the aftermath. Karate and Dragozin take his and her majesties to safety. The rest of us make do. No, never split the party, I said firmly. We'll find another way. Whether you manage to freeze the royals or not, this will create a punishing uproar from the aliens. Torquist set his drink down, untouched, lacing and unlacing his hands as he stared into the fire. When the woman who arranged this meeting, Nethris, awakens from her rest, I will ask her to fly back and return with reinforcements from the alien Kingsmen. Do you need us to field healers here at the fort? No. You guys can and should get underground as fast as you can. I'm a half-decent healer, and the master healer of Vlachia is getting ready to receive any injured at my castle. I said. In any case, are you sure the Hierophant is going to help us? In any case, are you sure the Hierophant is going to help us? Yes. The Hierophant's days are numbered as long as Lucian sits on the Lion Throne. I will see what he can do to aid you in spiriting the royals from the city. All right. It has to be done soon, I said. Tonight. It will. The Lord looked up at us, eyes bright with fear. Believe me, Vavod Dragozin. It is not only Ignas who is staring into the watery eyes of the Reaper. They murdered my aunt yesterday morning. These aliens mean death for us all. All right, that's the end of the chapter. And 6. Hoya, hoya, hoya. Okay, we're on chapter 200. Or not chapter 200, Jesus Christ. That'd be crazy. I guess minute 200. All right, everybody, I'm going to take a little break and play some music in the meantime. I will be back in as long as this track takes. There we go. My computer froze there for a second. All right, here we are, and here is the Chrysanthemum Queen, a track written for Kingdom Come, Archemi Online Book 3. I'll see you in a few minutes. coming! I'm coming! And I'm back. Oh, it is Annie's birthday, and apparently there's been some issues trying to get that post up and running. Very nice, very nice. Yes, Annie Ellicott's birthday today. Woo! Go wish her a happy birthday if you're watching. All right. Well. All right. Here we go. All right. Where were we? Okay, so it's going to be a bit of a shorter stream today. Oh, this is actually a pretty short chapter, so that's kind of perfect. I'm going to do one more chapter here, and then I'm going to call it and get ready for my conga line of meetings. Chapter 7. Some people drowned their sorrows in liquor, some with drugs. My drugs of choice were flying with Coralty. Oops. That's not where I want to record. Chapter 7. Some people drowned their sorrows in liquor, some with drugs. My drugs of choice were flying with Coralty, motorcycles, and crafting healing potions in that order. My drugs of choice were flying with Coralty, motorcycles, and crafting healing potions in that order. Once we finished studying and marking maps, planning different entry and exit routes, and otherwise getting ready for the horrors of Lovey, I found myself feeling restless. Coralty was sleeping, and motorcycles sadly didn't exist in Archemi. Yet. So I took over an empty room in the fort and went on a brewing spree. You have crafted a new medicine, Bone Shatter Poultice. You have discovered a new herb, Opium Poppy. Milk of the Poppy. You gain 126 skill experience. Herbalism. You gain 55 skill XP. Alchemy. You reach level 12 Alchemy. You cannot advance to level 16 Herbalism. Reason. Journeyman training required. You qualify for access to Journeyman level advanced crafting skills to Herbalism. Would you like to know more? Not right now. Not right now. I didn't need to hear the spiel, because I had a rough idea of what I needed to do already. Study up for an exam overseen by Masha. I planned to ask her about it sometime, once Ignas was safe. Abisa's words still rattled around and around in my head. Ignas had always been patient and fair, even when he was running the Night Stalkers out of a pit-fighting club in Cat Alley. Even when I'd pissed him off in front of Pasha Aswan, he'd taken me to a sitting room and talked it out. He'd taught me a lot about leadership then, too. Over the last half a year, we'd become good friends. But knowing he was proud of me... Over the last half a year, we'd become good friends. But knowing he was proud of me... But knowing he was proud of me, that he had actually been watching my back from a distance, it was giving me feels I wasn't ready to deal with, or even really name. Vague shit, all of it keeping me from sleeping. I grimaced and reached for another bottle to start brewing again, only to realize I was out of flasks. Blinking, I checked my inventory. Oh, I'd brewed about 50 pots, multiples of every recipe I knew, and had the ingredients. Multiples of every recipe I knew and had the ingredients for. Health potions, stamina potions, plus medicines to head off cardiac arrest, regrow limbs, recover HP, sedate, or rouse people from comas. I hadn't planned on using up my entire supply of herbs. But, well, shit. I rubbed my arms across my eyes. I could hear voices outside, followed by the roar of a small personal airship coming in to land. That meant it was time to start thinking about the mission, but my legs felt like lead, not because of the challenge ahead, but because of what I feared we might find. "Hey, Hector, our ride to Lovey is here." Karalti's voice chimed in on cue. She sounded refreshed. "Something the matter?" No, I'm fine. Just, got a bit carried away on the potion making." I began to pack up, folding all my lab glass and brewing equipment back into my inventory. Making sure we're prepared, you know. Anything we don't use on the mission, I can take back to Karhad when we drag Jacob out of the dungeon and put him to work in the hospital. "Did you get any sleep?" "No, but I'm fine. No penalties or anything." No, but I'm fine. No penalties or anything. I'll grab a nap on the ship." "All right." Karalti sounded dubious, but she was mature enough to know... she was mature enough now to know when not to press on something like this. "We'll talk after the mission, like, a debrief." Maybe. Even the thought of a debrief made the agitation worse, so I did what soldiers are trained to do. I drew a deep breath, stuffed my feelings into a box, slammed the lid down on it, and said, "Fuck it." Problem solved. Don't worry about me. Just wound up. Don't worry about me. Just wound up. Karalti didn't sound any more convinced than I did. "Come downstairs as soon as you can, though, okay?" "Be right there." I thumped the side of my head and chest to knock some sense in my... "Be right there." "Be right there." I thumped the side of my head and chest to knock some sense into my stupid, digitized brain, and strode for the door. I thumped the side of my head and chest to knock some sense into my stupid, digitized brain. I thumped the side of my head and chest to knock some sense into my stupid, digitized brain, and strode for the door. Oops. All right, this is a chapter break. The plan to get into Lovey was simple enough. Air traffic into the city was closed, but Torquist's small airship was transporting a mana-powered carriage. The plan to get into Lovey was simple enough. Air traffic into the city was closed, but Torquist's small airship was transporting a mana-powered carriage. The ship dropped it off, and the five of us, not including the unseen presence of Maquette, loaded in. The ship dropped it off, and the five of us, not including the unseen presence of Maquette, loaded in. Vash was, in fact, wearing a dress. Not a revealing one, much to everyone's disappointment. The fashions in Ravala were similar to the traditional clothes of tribes in Sweden and Finland. Tall red hats and intricately embroidered dark blue coats for the men, layered neck-to-ankle wool dresses and fur caps for women. Both sexes wore reindeer leather boots. Both sexes wore reindeer leather boots, because Vash was going as a high-priced hooker. He also wore a hooded cloak with a long fringe of beaded suede that covered his face. There was a lot of traffic flowing in and out of the gates of Lovey between sunset and midnight. Nervous travelers, opportunistic foreign merchants bringing in supplies to hawk to the Ilian occupiers, workmen reporting to their press gangs, swaggering mercenaries, and more alarmingly, the sleek Sangheti-Tak war machines of the Mercurians, their feet crunching against the gravel road as they passed in or out of the city. The smallest of them looked like fantasy versions of the powered armor I was used to seeing on the battlefields of Earth. 9 feet tall, just big enough to contain a pilot, bristling with weapons and humming with magic. People shied away from them, not just because of the wickedly curved blades that hung from their wrists. Sanghe was the Mercurian word for blood. Every one of the machines had a vicious grinder intake and valves that blasted. Sanghe was the Mercurian word for blood. Every one of the machines had a vicious grinder intake and valves that blasted waste out the back. Every one of the machines had a vicious grinder intake and valves that blasted waste out the back like a wood chipper. and valves that blasted waste out the back like a wood chipper. But for meat. I started to feel wary. Excuse me. I started to feel wary as our carriage rumbled towards the crowd of guards. The occupation was fresh, and Lovey was swarming with soldiers. Nearly 30 of them were crowded at the front.
Nearly 30 of them were crowded at the front gate. Nearly 30 of them were crowded at the front gate. Only about half a dozen of them were actually working, checking papers and rifling through carts. The rest were half drunk, too busy watching for lone women or soft-looking merchants to shake down to notice the single carriage whirring its way across the bridge. Me and my squad were dressed in the white and gold livery of House Torquist, thick fleece and leather coats. Thick fleece and leather coats. Thick fleece and leather coats, breeches, and boots. Abisa drove the carriage, her spine ramrod straight as she fluidly manipulated the Magitech controls. Karalty and I rode on the back of the coachman. Karalty and I rode on the back as coachman, hanging onto a rail behind the passenger compartment bearing the Lord and his lady. Karalty and I rode on the back as coachman, hanging onto a rail behind the passenger compartment bearing the Lord and his lady. I expected to be stopped, but instead we breezed through the gates with nothing but a wave from the sober but still overworked and inattentive soldier. We breezed through the gates. We breezed through the gates with nothing but a wave. We breezed through the gates with nothing but a wave from the sober but still overworked and inattentive guards. I'd spent enough time in war zones to be able to read the city, and it felt like I was about to, and it felt like it was about to explode any second. The aliens were trying to enforce normalcy as quickly as possible, so stores were open, wares were on display, and workers were busy cleaning hookwing stalls and trucking wheelbarrows. But there was a thin, high note of tension that I could feel in my teeth. The most obvious signs were the alien soldiers swaggering. The most obvious signs were the alien soldiers swaggering among the Revalan crowds. The most obvious signs were the alien soldiers swaggering among the Revalan crowds. They took food without paying, grabbed at women when they felt like it, gathered in packs, and bulldozed men out of their path. The Revalans stepped around their occupiers with dark expressions and clenched fists. The hostility of the proud citizens of Lovey was held in check by only 3 things: the Mercurians stalking the streets in their flesh-eating powered armor, the dragons that occasionally wheeled high above the city, and the presence of Vlachia's own dreadnought airship as it cruised slowly overhead, casting a cold T-shaped shadow over the streets. That's the fucking Henrietta, I thought to Karalty. They've commandeered it. We aren't flying out of here. No, we're not. Karalty's voice was bittersweet with grief. And I can feel them, Hector. My brothers and sisters. They hate Lucian so much, but there's nothing they can do to stop themselves from obeying him. Their pain calls to me. It makes my heart hurt. Don't worry, Karalty. Don't worry, Karalty. We'll get him. My mood darkened as I saw My mood darkened as I saw a pack of alien soldiers corner a peasant girl and shove her into a wall, knocking a basket of apples. And shove her into a wall, knocking a basket of apples from her hands. I itched to help her, but the carriage was already speeding past the scene, toward the cathedral. I know. But the carriage was already speeding past the scene toward the cathedral. I know. The day they let us escape from the Eyrie was the day they died. They just don't know it yet. Karalti's voice took a hard edge to it. Karalti's voice took a hard edge to it. A predator's cold focus. The Lion Palace. The Lion Palace was like something out of a German fairy tale, a sweeping white castle built on top of a hill that surrounded and surrounded by a carefully maintained, wooded parkland. It rose above the city like hands reaching for the sky, framed by high walls and slim buttressed towers. But the palace wasn't our goal. We diverted down a winding cobblestone road, passing rows of silent, darkened townhouses, and entered the grounds of the Golden Cathedral of Lovey from the delivery gate. Abisa deftly steered the carriage into an alley beside the priory and brought it to a whirring halt in front of a pair of black-robed men. Finally! The older of the two hissed to us. He was wringing his hands, eyes wide and white. In his face. My lord, I thought you were to show just after sunset. Shh! Keep your voices down! Torquist leaned to look out the window as we jumped. Torquist leaned to look out the window as we jumped down. Vash flung the door open and stepped out, already stripping his finery. As my eyes adjusted to the gloom, I saw a group of four nervous people crowding back in the stables. Torquist's actual servants, who stepped forward to take our clothes as we began to undress and replace them with our more familiar gear. I'm the leader. I stepped up to the priest once my armor was back on, the spear slung over my back. We'll be in and out with the royals as fast as we can. Are you ready for extraction? Are you ready for the extraction? We have a wagon and strong hook wings ready. We have a wagon and strong hook. We have a wagon and strong hook wings ready. The priest bobbed his head, wringing his hands. Wait in position and stay calm. If there's trouble at the palace, we won't lead it here. I clapped him on the arm and turned to my team. All right, everyone. Basic squad composition. Abisa and Vash take point at every possible opportunity. Karalti, center positions and flank. I'm the best healer on the field, so I'll take the rear.
I'm the best healer on the field, so I'll take rear and focus on crowd control in case shit goes south. Ignas is our number one priority. Ignas is our number one priority. If we have the chance to rescue the queen or the princess, we grab them. But if they can't walk, we're going to have to leave them and stage a separate extraction. Everyone clear? Understood. Abisa saluted to the chest. Abisa saluted to the chest. Abisa saluted to the chest with the crispness of an experienced soldier. Coralti mimicked the eunuch salute, drawing her feet in. And bringing the blade of her hand to her temple. Vash grunted and picked his ear. It was as good as a salute from him. The priest led us quickly around the church, then inside of it through a vestibule. The priest led us quickly around the church, then inside of it through a vestibule. Lyric was the god of the sun in the western nations of Artana, and everything inside of here was white and gold, almost too bright to look at. An amber-scented hush fell over us as we entered the brilliantly lit cathedral. Aisle, and bustled down to the elaborate altar near the empty choral stands. The priest removed a plain iron key from his belt and unlocked a cleverly hidden door with shaking hands. He handed a second key to me.
Follow this tunnel down, always heading to the right. There will be 3 doors. You want the one straight ahead. It will take you into the old catacombs, which connect to the cellar network beneath the city. I have marked the route to the palace on your map, but be careful. Lovi was built on an ancient tribal battleground. Lovi was built on an ancient tribal battleground, and the catacombs are far, far more ancient than this city. The restless dead wander, skeletons animated by Sade and worse. We also do not know if the usurpers have posted guards in the tunnels near Her Majesty's palace.
I was operating on the assumption they had. Thanks. Take care of yourself. We'll be back as soon as we can.
Lord and Lady watch over you, my lord. May they have mercy on my queen. And country.
The priest made a sign of benediction, forming an O with his fingers and gesturing in a spiral, then ushered us through. He closed the door behind us and left. With a hurried swish of robes. He closed the door behind us and left. He closed the door behind us and left with a hurried... He closed the door behind us and left with a... He closed the door behind us and left with a hurried swish of robes against marble. And left with a hurried swish of robes against marble. And left with a hurried swish of robes against marble. All right, there we have it. And chapter 7. All right, so 220 would be chapter 8 is the start. Great. So that is it Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening to part 3 of the Crowned in Black Cold Reads. I've got my meeting conga line now, my Thursday meeting conga line, so I got to go do that. But I'm going to leave you with a little bit of music from Kingdom Come. Excuse me. And I hope you enjoy it like everything else. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're listening on SBT Direct, thank you very much for your support. And we're going to be doing one more episode of this just to give you a nice sneak peek while we continue the production. And Archemi is a big production. All books in the series are quite big. Sound effects, music, also size and characters, all of that stuff. So thank you again. And I'm going to leave you with a track called... what should I do? What should I do? Let's do Nocturne's Lament. There it is. Thank you once again, and we'll see you next time.